Hello my dear students! Ngayon naman ay tuturo ko sa inyo ang pagsusolve ng quadratic equations by extracting the square roots. Pero bago tayo pumunta sa lesson proper, let's have a review first on the following multiplications. Pansinin ninyo na yung number o yung mga numbers ay minumultiply sa kanilang sarili. Okay, let's see what is 2 times 2, that is 4. Of course, 3 times 3, that's 9. 6 times 6, that's 36. 12 times 12, that's 144. And 4/5 times itself, 4/5. When you multiply fractions, of course, you multiply the numerators first separatedly from the product of the denominators. So 5 times 5 is 25. On the other side, negative 2 times negative 2 here, positive 4 pa rin because negative times negative is positive. Negative 3 here times negative 3, that is positive 9. Negative 6 times negative 6, that's positive 36. Negative 12 times negative 12, that is positive 144. And negative 3/4 times negative 3/4, so the numerators have a product of 9 and the denominators have a product of 16. Okay, so dito naman sa susunod na activity natin, mag-extract tayo ng square roots. Pansinin ninyo, yung square root of 36, so you think of a number, smaller number, na if you multiply that smaller number by itself, the result is 36. Okay, nakapag-isip na tayo. That's 6, no? Because 6 times 6 is 36. Pero hindi lang simply 6 dahil nakita ninyo sa example kanina na doon sa review kanina na ang positive 6 times positive 6 is 36 at ang negative 6 times negative 6 is also 36. That's why dalawa ang square root ng isang number, no? Isang positive at isang negative. Okay, another example, the square root of 81. What is that number that when you multiply it by itself, the result is positive 81 or 81? So, nakapag-isip na tayo? Yes, of course, that is 9. No, but not only 9 or not simply 9, but it's positive and negative 9. How about 49? Yes, that's 7. So, positive and negative 7 because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, another, the square root of 256. What is that number that when you multiply it by itself, the result is 256? Well, it is 16. So, the square root of 256 is plus or minus 16. In number 5, the square root of 25 over 64. As you can see, it's a fraction. So, expect that the square root of this number is also a fraction. But it looks like complicated, but actually it's very simple because the numerator is a perfect square and its square root is 5 because the square root of 25 is 5, and the denominator, which is 64, this one has a square root of 8 and it's plus or minus. So the square root of 25 over 64 is equal to plus or minus 5 over 8. And now another set of examples. The square root of 144 is plus or minus 12. While the square root of, in number 7, the square root of 1 over 16 is plus or minus. In the numerator, the square root of 1 here is 1, and the square root of 16 is 4. So the square root of 1 over 16 is equal to plus or minus 1/4. In solving quadratic equations using extracting the square root, so apply the square root property. Ano ba ang square root property? To solve for x in the quadratic equation of the form x squared is equal to c, take the square root of both sides of the equation. So therefore, if you have x squared is equal to c, you just have to extract the square root of both sides of the equation. So on the left side, that's x squared, extract mo yung square root niya. On the right side, that's c or constant, extract mo rin yung square root niya. But take note that the square root of a number is plus or minus. So therefore, by canceling the square and the square root, because the opposite of square root is square, no? So they have to cancel each other. So x is equal to plus or minus c. That will be the final answer when we solve problems or when we take the roots of quadratic equations later on. So here are the steps in solving quadratic equations by extracting the square root. Number 1, write the equation in the form x squared is equal to c over a, or square of the unknown variable is equal to number. Dapat ganyan yung form niya. Number 2, extract the square roots of both sides of the equation. Put a plus or minus sign before the square root of the number. Use the plus or minus roots to solve for the resulting equation. And of course, after solving for the roots, you have to check your answer by substitution to see whether the equation is true. On our examples, I will show you different situations involving extracting the square roots and how to deal with them. So on our first example, that's x squared is equal to 64, which follows our simple form x squared equals c. So you just have to extract the square root of both sides. So square root of x squared here and square root of 64. But the square root of x squared is as good as cancelling the square root sign and the square, because square root and square are opposites. So the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 64 is plus or minus 8. So therefore you have x of 1 now, which is positive 8, and x of 2, which is negative 8. But we are not sure yet if these really are our solutions. So we have to check. That's step 3. We have to check first. So substitute our first value of x to our original equation, which is x squared is equal to 64. X becomes 8, so 8 squared is equal to 64. So we are not sure, so we have to put question mark. But 8 squared is really 64. So therefore 64 is equal to 64, and that's QED. Now, on our x of 2, which has a value of negative 8, again substitute negative 8 to x. So you have 8 squared is equal to 64 also. But negative 8 squared, which means negative 8 times negative 8 is also 64. which is equal to 64. Oh, we forgot the question mark here. And since 64 equals 64, then that's QED. So we have proven that our solutions are really 8 and negative 8. Therefore, we are safe to say now that our solutions are, solutions are 8 or negative 8 and positive 8. Next example, solve 3x squared is equal to 108. So we cannot follow our step right away kasi mayroon tayong coefficient ng x squared natin which is 3. So we have to do some kind of simplification first, and let's see what will happen. Okay, so since may coefficient na 3 yung x squared natin, okay, i-divide natin both sides kung ano yung coefficient ng x squared. In this case, 3. So, 3 over 3 becomes 1. 1 times x squared is simply x squared na lang. But 108 divided by 3 is 36. And it looks like the right side of our equation is now a perfect square. So, safe na tayo na mag-square root both sides. So, extract na natin square root of both sides. So, x squared and 36. Square root of x squared. Again, cancel square root and square. So, that is now, naging red. That is now x, and the square root of 36 is plus or minus 6. So we have x of 1, which is positive 6, and x of 2, and x of 2 is equal to negative 6. Again, for the last step, we have to check if our roots are really 6 and negative 6. So we have to do the checking. So 3x squared is equal to 108 ang ating original equation. So by substitution, 3 and our first value of x is 6. So 6 squared is equal to 108. But we have to put question mark here because we are not sure yet. So 3 times ang 6 squared is 36, which is equal to 108. So question mark pa rin. But 3 times 36, doing the multiplication, that is really 108, which is equal to 108. So we have proven that 6 is one of the solutions. So QED natin. Next, on our second value of x, which is negative 6. So we have to substitute again. 3 times negative 6 squared is equal to 108. But again, negative 6 squared is 36. Or negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36 equals 108. But 3 times 36 here is 108, which is equal to 108. And we forgot to put question mark doon sa mga unang solutions natin. So this is QED because we have proven that negative 6 is really one of the solutions. Okay, so we are safe now again to say that the solutions are negative 6 and positive 6. Okay, on our next example, as you can see, we have to do simplification again by combining similar terms. So 4x squared, which is the quadratic term, plus 20 is equal to 84. But 20 and 84 are similar terms. So dapat isama natin si 20 kay 84 para masundan natin yung form na x square is equal to c at magamitan natin ng square root. So, dapat pupunta si 20 sa kabila. So, magiging equals 84. Then, originally, positive siya. So, shortcut ng addition property of equality is transposition. So, magiging negative 20 na siya. So, 4x squared is equal to, what is 84 minus 20? Of course, that is 64. And as you can see, dapat i-divide muna natin sila both sides by 4 because 4 and 64 can both be divided by 4. So, cancel. So, that's x squared is equal to 64 divided by 4 is 16. And we are now free to extract the square root of both sides. So, extract mo yung square root ng x squared and square root ng 16. So, that's x is equal to positive and negative 4. So, we can now say that x of 1 is equal to 4 and x of 2 is equal to negative, masyadong mahaba yung equal natin, negative 4. Of course, we have to check if our values of x are really the solutions of this problem. So, by substituting the x of 1 and x of 2 to our original equation, then we can prove. So, ayusin lang natin. 4x squared plus 20 is equal to 84. So, ito yung original equation natin. Dito tayo kukuha ng checking. So, 4. Ang unang x natin ay 4. So, 4x squared. Therefore, 4 squared plus 20 is equal to 84. Of course, mag-question mark muna tayo because we are not sure yet. So, continue the process. 4 squared is 16 plus 20 is equal to 84. But 4 times 16 is 64 plus 20 is equal to 84. But nalimutan natin ang question mark. Yan, lagay natin. 64 plus 20 is 84. So, 84 is equal to 84. QED na ba? Yes, QED. And we have a problem. Wala na tayong space. So, anong gagawin kaya natin? Burahin na lang natin yung, since na-prove na natin na tama, then pwede na natin burahin. Okay. Para mai-substitute naman natin si negative 4. Dapat din na natin binura lahat. So, palitan si x ng negative 4 squared plus 20 is equal to 84. But negative 4 squared, that means negative 4 times negative 4. So, 16 pa rin plus 20 is equal to 84. But 4 times 16 is 64 plus 20 is equal to 84. Oops, we forgot the question mark again. So we have to integrate question mark. But 64 plus 20 is 84, which is equal to 84. And so we have proven that our values of x, 4 and negative 4, are really the solutions of this quadratic equation. Now, as you notice in our problem that ang tinatanong ay solution set. So, ang magiging answer natin ay in the form of a set. No? So, ganito. Ang solution ay nakaset notation siya. Solution is a set of elements, namely negative 4 and positive 4. Yan, nakaset notation. Okay, next example. So, find the roots of the quadratic equation 36x squared is equal to 81. So, what are we going to do? Gaya ng unang mga ginagawa natin, i-clear natin yung coefficient ng x squared. So, we have to divide all sides of the equation kung ano man yung coefficient ng x squared. In this case, 36. So, we have to divide all sides by 36. Cancel. So, x squared now is equal to 81 over 36. So, na-form na natin siya sa basic form na x squared is equal to c over a. And that's the time na pwede na natin siyang square root. Applying the square root property, so square root of x squared, cancel. Yung square root and x, square root and square. So x is equal to plus or minus 81 has an integral square root which is 9, and 36 also has an integral square root which is 6. Yes, but 9 over 6 is a fraction which can be simplified into its lowest term. The 9 and 6 can both be divided by their greatest common factor, which is 3. So, simplify the fraction muna by dividing all sides, dividing the numerator and the denominator by 3. So, that's 3 halves. So, we can say now that our x of 1 is equal to positive 3 halves, and so i-resin muna natin to. And our x of 2 is negative 3 halves. Of course, i-check muna natin kung tama nga talaga yung mga values of x natin. So, checking. Check. Checking. The original equation is 36x squared is equal to 81. By substitution, so ang unang gagamitin natin x ay 3 over 2. Yung x of 1 squared is equal to 81. So you have 36 times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9 all over 2 squared. Yung denominator squared is 4. So is equal to 81. So again, we forgot question mark. Kailangan natin maglagay. So we can divide 36 by the denominator 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that's 9 times 9 is equal to 81. Is it really 9 times 9 equals 81? Yes. So it's 81. Okay. Urahin muna natin 6 of 2. So, wala na tayong space eh. 81 is equal to 81. So, you have Q, E, D. Okay? Next, si x of 2 naman, ang gamitin natin. Yung binura natin kanina. O, ilagay na natin dito. X of 2 equals negative 3 halves. So, 36 times negative 3 halves squared is equal to 81. But again, negative 3 squared is magandahin lang natin yung sulat. Pasensya na po kayo sa sulat kasi mahirap po yung mouse. Mahirap i-navigate yung mouse. So 3 squared is 9 over 2 squared is 4. Of course, positive pa rin yung lalabas kasi negative times negative dito. Negative times negative becomes positive. Equals 81. Question mark natin. Question mark. So, we can now divide 36 by 4. No? Because 36 divided by 4, 36 is a numerator and 4 is a denominator. So, we have 9 times 9 is equal to 81. But 9 times 9 is 81, which is also equal to 81. So, Q, E, D. Yan. We forgot question mark here. Yan. Maglagay tayo pa rin. Now, so our solutions are really 3 halves and negative 3 halves. So, roots ang hinahanap naman. Therefore, ang roots niya ay, okay, saan kaya natin pwedeng ilagay? Dito na lang, magbura na lang tayo dito. Masyado tayong aksaya sa space. Okay, so ang roots now are roots. Siyempre, roots ang tinatanong, so dapat roots din ang answer. Negative 3 halves. You notice that in writing our solutions or roots, inuuna natin yung smaller root or solution. Susunod yung larger root or larger solution. So, ganyan. Kasi in this case, negative 3 halves is smaller than positive 3 halves. Kaya inuna natin sinulat yung negative 3 halves. That's it. On our next example, as you can see, it's different from our previous examples. Kasi yung binomial x minus 2, siya yung may square. But please don't worry kasi just consider it as one quantity. So, yung mga solutions natin ay para, yung solution natin dito ay para lang din dun sa mga nauna. So, First, syempre i-rewrite natin. Tapos, x minus 2 quantity squared is equal to 6. Clear natin itong x minus 2 quantity squared sa kanyang coefficient. Gaya ng mga ginagawa natin. So, clear natin siya. Ano ba yung coefficient ng quantity x minus 2 squared? Ito 6. Kaya i-divide natin all sides by 6. So, divide nyo rin sa right side ng 6 and cancel. So, you have now x minus 2 quantity squared is equal to, what is 6 divided by 6? Ito, 6 divided by 6 or 6 over 6. That's 1. So, pagandahin lang natin si 2. Yan. Now, you can now safely extract the square root of both sides. Gaya ng sinabi ko kasi kanina, just consider x minus 2 as one quantity. So, pwede mo lang i-extract yan at C1. And you can safely cancel out square root and square. So, you have x minus 2 is equal to positive and negative. Square root of 1 is 1. And leave x alone. So, negative 2 shall be transposed to the right side of the equation. And since it is negative, so i-write ko lang si plus and minus 1. Si 2, since negative siya, ay magiging positive 2 na. Lipat sa right side. Now, if we are going to use the plus 1, so positive 1 plus 2, so positive 1 plus 2, that is 3. So we have first value of x, which is positive 3. And another, if we use the negative 1, that is negative 1 plus 2, which is positive 1. So we can do the checking now para ma-prove natin na yan talaga yung solution ng quadratic equation natin. Checking. So, first, substitute natin si x of 1, which is 3. So, 3 minus 2 squared is equal to 6. But 6 times the operation inside 3 minus inside the parentheses, 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is equal to 6. Wait, we forgot question mark again. So, question mark. I know. Masyado malayo na. Checking. So, question mark. Question mark. But 6 times 1 squared. But 1 squared is 1 is equal to 6. And 6 times 1 is 6. So 6 equals 6, which is Q, E, D. And next, the other value of x, which is 1 or positive 1. So, substitute natin dito. 6 times 1 minus 2 squared is equal to 6. So 6 times, what is 1 minus 2? That's negative 1. So negative 1 squared is equal to, later, dito na, negative 1 squared is equal to 1 equals 6 again. Do not forget the question mark. 6 times 1 here, 6 times 1 is 6, which is equal to 6. And we are Q, E, D. Okay? So therefore, our solutions, dalawa sila eh. are nag-equal tayo, nag-QED, kaya really our solutions are 1 and 3. Okay, another example. Find the solution set of 4 quantity x minus 2 squared equals 144. So, it looks like complicated again, but actually it's very simple. No? So, don't worry about it. So, i-rewrite lang muna natin yung original expression or original equation na for quantity x minus 2 squared is equal to 144. Then, first step is to eliminate the coefficient of the part having our variable x. So, the coefficient is 4. Therefore, we have to divide all sides by 4. And since 4 can be divided by 4, then as good as cancelled out na yung 4. So, ang naiwan na lang sa left side ay x minus 2 quantity squared is equal to 144 divided by 4 is 36. And now we are free to extract the square root of both sides. Using square root property, so square root x minus 2 quantity squared and square root of 36. Again, square root and square are opposites, so you can cancel them out. So, anong naiwan sa left side is x minus 2 na lang. Samantalang sa right side, ang square root ng 36 ay positive or negative 6, plus or minus 6. Then, to solve for x of 1, we use one of the values or one of the signs. So, plus muna ang gamitin natin, plus 6. Plus 6 or positive 6, I should say. So, positive 6 muna. So, 6 or positive 6, understood na positive na yan kasi walang sign. Then, si 2, syempre, iniwanan niya mag-isa si x. Napunta ulit dito sa right side of the equation. So, magiging positive 2. So, therefore, our x of 1 is equal to positive 8. Another possible root. So, gamitin naman natin si negative 6. For our x of 2, then negative 6, again, i-transpose natin si 2, so plus 2. And x of 2 now is equal to negative 6 plus 2, so that is negative 4. Now, let's do the checking to prove that our solved values of x are really the solutions of our quadratic equation. So, checking natin, substituting the values of x, and firstly, the value of x that we have solved is 8 minus 2 quantity squared is equal to, mag-question mark tayo, question mark, 144. So, 4 times 8 minus 2 is 6. Then, square natin, squared is equal to 144. But 6 squared, 6 here, and the squared, that means 6 times 6 is equivalent to 36, equals 144. Oops, we forgot question marks. So, lagay natin mga question marks. So, 4 times 36 is 144, which is also equal to 144. So, we have proven that our right side is equal to our left side. Therefore, 8x of 1, which is equal to 8, is one of our solutions. And again, we have a problem at the moment. We don't have space anymore to show our x of 2. So, siguro pwede na natin burahin ito. Bura-bura muna tayo. Pag may time. Okay. So, gamitin natin si x of 2, which is negative 4, na pang-substitute sa value ng x. So, negative 4 minus 2, quantity squared equals 144. So, 4. Again, negative 4 times or minus 2 is negative 6 squared is equal to 144. And 4 times negative 6 squared is, of course, positive 36 equals 144. Ulang pa rin ang space natin. So, mura-mura lang. But 4 times 36 is 144 also, which is equal to 144. Oops, we forgot question marks. Question mark. And we are now safe to say that our right side is equal to our left side. So, therefore, we can now put Q, E, Q, E, E here. And our solution set, since what is asked is a set, then our answer should be in set notation. So our solution is a set of values, namely negative 4 and positive 8. See x of 1 and x of 2. So that's the solution set. And another example pa rin. So, find the roots of 3x squared plus 27 equals 0. Rewriting the equation again. So, 3x squared plus 27 is equal to 0. And i-separate natin si constant. Dapat nasa kabila siya. Si 27, separate natin. So, mapupunta siya sa right side of the equation. Magiging negative 27. And since mayroong coefficient na naman yung ating variable na x, so, i-eliminate natin yung coefficient, which is, in this case, is 3. So, divide all sides by 3. So, cancel out na si 3 dito. Cancel out. So, x squared is equal to negative 9. As you can see, we have transformed this in the form x squared is equal to c over a. So, we are now safe to extract the square root of both sides. Again, cancel out. Yan. Square and square root. So, x is equal to the square root of negative 9. But, our radicand, yung number na nasa loob ng square root, radicand ng tawag ay negative. Walang number na, or walang negative number na pwedeng i-square root. No? So, ang magiging answer natin ay no real roots. Okay? Or, if you wish to continue it, then dapat lagyan natin ng symbol na I squared itong 9. So, magiging I squared. Ano nga ba ang I squared? Remember that I stands for imaginary. Kasi yung mga magiging roots natin ay imaginary. Meaning, they don't really exist. They don't really exist. Why? Later on, when we study quadratic function, these are the kinds of roots that don't touch the x-axis when we graph our parabola. So, imaginary, ang nire-represent ng I, and remember, I squared is equivalent to -1. So, therefore, pag sinabi nating -9, kagaya nito kanina, -9, so, it means na 9 times -1 siya. But -1 nga, using imaginary symbol, ay 9i squared. Ayan, 9i squared. And since pwede na nating square root si 9, so ilabas nyo na siya as square root. That is 3. And pwede nating square root si I squared. Of course, square root of I squared is I. So our roots are positive 3i, or unahin natin yung negative. Tapos sunod si positive. Kasi dapat palaging mauna ang negative from smallest to greatest. Yan. So here are our roots. Okay, so let's try ourselves here on assessment. A number which produces a specific quantity when multiplied by itself is called what? So imagine a number n is multiplied by itself. It produces a quantity which is n squared. Now, let's try to do the opposite. If n squared is extracted with its square root, then cancel na si square root at si, or si radical at si square. Ang result ay n. So n is the square root of the specific quantity n squared. Anong tawag natin kay n? Siya ang square root ng n squared. Therefore, ang answer natin ay square root. Letter A. Okay, another question. What is the square root of 36? So think of a number that when you multiply that number by itself, the result is 36. Okay, correct? The answer is 6, but not only 6, or not simply 6, but positive and negative 6. So our answer is letter C. Next question. Which of the following denotes a square root expression? So in letter A, it says cube root of b. So it's not a square root. In letter B, it says b cubed, or b to the power of 3. And in letter C, here, so it's a set notation indicating that b is the only element. In letter D, so it's square root of b. Therefore, the answer is letter D. It indicates square root expression. Next question. How many real solutions does the equation x squared equals c, where c is less than 0, have? So, when c is less than 0, therefore, our constant term is a negative number. So, we shall represent it by negative k. And we have studied earlier that if the number inside the radical sign, or inside the square root sign, is a negative number, therefore it doesn't have a real solution. Therefore, it is just an imaginary number. So we can say that it's ki squared, imaginary. So our answer here is no real solution. How do you describe the signs of the square root of a positive real number? For example, you have the square root of 4. Then its answer is plus or minus 2. So where is it? Positive and positive. Positive and negative. That's letter C. Next, what are the roots of a quadratic equation x squared minus 49? So applying the square root property, we have to transpose 49 to the other side of the equation. So it becomes x squared equals 49. Then extract the square root of both sides. So that's x is equal to plus or minus 7. So where is it in our options? That's letter D. Letter D. Another, applying the method of extracting the square roots, solve for b in 4b squared minus 9 equals 71. So 4, rewriting the original equation, 4b squared minus 9 equals 71. Then gradually leaving our variable b alone. So first we have to combine similar terms, transposing b to the other side of the equation. So that becomes 71 plus 9. Because originally 9 is negative, so when we transpose it to the other side, here it becomes positive 9. So 4b squared is equal to 80. And leaving our variable alone, so divide all sides by its coefficient, which is 4, cancel. So b squared becomes 20. Then 20. Secondary natin. 20. Now, applying the square root property, so extract the square root of both sides. And we can cancel out the square root sign and the square. So b, oops, dapat kulay yellow. Mas obvious. B is square root of 20. But 20 is not a perfect square. So it doesn't have an integral square root. So ang gagawin lang natin is i-break down natin si 20 sa paraan na yung isang factor niya ay pwedeng square root. So, ano ba yung mga factors ng 20 na pwede natin square root yung isang factor? Tama, 4 yung isa, tapos 5 naman yung isa. So, 4 times 5 is 20. Bakit napili natin si 4 times 5? Kasi si 4 ay pwedeng i-square root. Ganyan ang mag-simplify ng radicals. Or simplifying radicals. Mga susunod na topic natin yan. So, ilabas natin si 4 bilang extracted na. So, square root of 4 is 2. Maiwan sa loob ng radical sign is yung hindi ma-extract, which is 5. So, therefore, the values of b are positive 2 square root of 5 and negative 2 square root of 5. So, it's letter A. Next, find the solution set of the equation 2x squared minus 32 equals 0. So, again, let's rewrite the equation. 2x squared minus 32 equals 0. And transposing our constant term, which is 32, to the other side, it becomes 2x squared equals 32. Then eliminate again the coefficient of our variable. So in this case, 2. We have to divide all sides by 2. And we have now x squared is equal to 16. And we can extract the square root of both sides. by applying a square root property, then we can cancel out square root and square. So x equals, what is the square root of 16? Okay, that's positive and negative 4. So the roots of, or the solution set S na lang is composed of elements negative 4 and positive 4. Solution is a set where the elements are negative 4 and positive 4. So our answer here is letter B. Another, simplify square root of 9 over 16. So it's a fraction, but don't worry because the numerators, or the numerator and the denominator, are both perfect squares. So we can easily identify the square root of this fraction. The square root of 9 is 3, while the square root of 16 at the denominator here is 4. So when we simplify, therefore, the square root of 9 over 16 is positive or plus or minus 3, 4. Here's it, plus or minus 3, 4. Letter A. Okay, let's try to answer this worded problem. Miguel has a piece of cloth whose area is 50 square inches. What is the length of the side of the largest square that can be formed using the cloth? So we are dealing with a square here. Oops. Mag-draw tayo ng water square. So, imagine this is a perfect square. And the sides of the square are unknown. Yun ang hinahanap. What is the length of the side of the largest square? So, indicate or i-represent na lang natin yung length niya as x. Siyempre, kapag square, yung length at saka yung width pareho. So, x and x. And its area, yun, is 50 square inches. But remember, in solving for the area of a square, that is s squared. So, a is equal to s squared. But in this case, ang side ngayon ay represented by x. Kaya, palitan natin ng x, yung s, x squared. And its area is, okay, dito na sa labas, its area is 50 square inches. So, 50 square inches. Equals x squared. Then, extracting the square root of both sides, to solve for x, we have x, interchange na lang natin si 50, kasi mas nakasanayan natin na yung variable ay nasa kaliwa. Interchange natin si 50 at saka si x. X is the square root of 50 square inches. Okay, but again, 50 is not a perfect square. So wala siyang integral na square root. Kaya i-factor na lang muna natin siya sa paraan na yung isang factor niya ay pwedeng square root. So in this case, 25 times 2 square inches. Ayun. So si 25 ay pwede nang ilabas bilang extracted number na positive 5. Bakit walang negative? Kasi mayroon na siyang unit of length. So wala namang negative na length, na puro absolute value. So positive. Kaya 5 square root of 2. Then si inches squared, yun, pwede naman natin ding eliminate yung square. Kasi nga, di ba, makakancel si square at saka si square root. Pagka i-extract natin yung square. I-extract natin yung square root ng square. So, yun. 5 square root of 2 inches. So, yun is it. Ayun. So, letter D is the correct answer.